What about this? What about that?
What about that? What about that? What about that? What about that? What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
What about that? What about that? About that? What about this? About this? About this?
What about that? 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 What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
What about that? About that? About that? What about this? About this?
What about that? What about that? What about that? What about that? What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
What about that? About that? About that? About that? What about this? About this?
What about that? What about that? What about that? What about that? What about this? What about this? What about this?
What about this?
What about that? What about that? What about that?
About that? About that? About that? About that? And we are back. Peace, folk. Welcome back to another edition of the Proper Thought series right here on the old T.P.O.T. YouTube page. I'm your host, X, of course, but you knew that already. That's why y'all black asses are here. It's going to be a funny show tonight. I mean, we're going to have a good time tonight. We're going to have a few laughs. And as you can see, scrolling here underneath, we're going to be asking the question, what about? Because this is one of the What About series installments. And tonight we ask, what about the rocks, shells, and chicken feet? That's right. The rocks, the shells, and the chicken feet. We're going to be talking about all this magical, mystical shit that a lot of us probably hear about now, and we heard about it when we were younger, and, you know, all this spiritual, magical, elfin, dwarfin, Peter Pan magic that you hear people always talking about. We're going to get into it tonight. What's good, Brother Little Rock? I see you up there, brother. Yeah. But first, before we get started, you know I always start the show off with thanking you good folk for your likes, your shares, your views, your subs, and of course, your hard-earned pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, and 50-cent pieces. Because I realize you don't have to do it, man. You don't have to goddamn show up to these shows. You don't have to watch these videos. You You don't have to be here. You could be anywhere. You don't have to sub to this goddamn channel. And you definitely don't have to drop your hard-earned coins on this platform. But you good folks, you choose to do so, man. Night after night, week after week, you are here. Like I said, when you can be anywhere. And I don't take you good folks lightly, man. I never have and I never will. You got my word on that. I'm humbled. I'm honored. I'm appreciative. But most importantly, I am thankful for all you good folk. All right? All right. So, let's get at it. But y'all know, before we go into it, y'all know, we always got to start the show off with a little segment that we call the Old Mama of the Day. These old mamas. Yes, time for the old mama of the day, because you know we never run out, y'all. Y'all know we will never run out. Ever. But our old mama of the day hails from the ridiculous city known as New Orleans, Louisiana. Let's read. A mother, T.R.S.A., kills her child, injures another, blames her actions on their father. Of course. Now, if you can see here, there's some videos here. They're somewhat graphic. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and do this for those of you who may be quite squeamish, even though it's not that bad. Let me go ahead and put my disclaimer up anyway. Warning, warning, this T.P.O.T stream contains scenes that some viewers may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Negroes. Yeah, some of my viewers may find it disturbing. Because as you can see here, here's a picture of her here. And then there's a picture of her in the middle with blood on her. You're going to find out why in a few moments. And these are the little tykes that make her an old mama. But let's continue. A 31-year-old mother identified as T.R.S.A. has been accused of attempting to kill her 2 children in New Orleans. It was gathered that her 4-year-old daughter, Paris Roberts, is now dead, and her 2-year-old unnamed brother is in critical condition. T.R.S.A. uploaded a disturbing Instagram post where she claimed to have killed her children and blamed it on their father, Jermaine Roberts. In the post, she stated, "I'm done. My children are dead. I'm done. I'm done with life." The video also showed Janae covered with blood. Surveillance footage showed a man believed to be Jermaine arriving at Janae's home. The man had to break a window to gain entrance into the home. He was later seen coming outside holding the children. After placing the children in his truck, he took them to the hospital for treatment. According to the reports, Janae's Instagram post is what alerted Jermaine to the attack on his children. Despite treatment, Paris Roberts passed away. Janae and Jermaine's 2-year-old son is said to be in critical condition. Boy, these old mamas, boy, I tell you. While strapped to a gurney, Janae was arrested and charged with second-degree murder, second-degree cruelty to a juvenile, and attempted murder. At the time of their daughter's death, Jermaine and Janae were in a custody battle. Jermaine sued Janae for joint custody and claimed that Janae was not stable for or providing a healthy environment for the kids. It seemed he was right. You ain't lying. Their custody court hearing was scheduled for the end of the month. Now, I do believe that it's probably the reason behind her doing this to the babies, this old mama, is because of the custody battle. Because you know these women, if the man sues for custody and he's, better suited mentally, emotionally, and financially, and she's just out of her freaking mind, there's a pretty good chance that he'll get the kids. Trust me, I went through this, all right? I'm pretty sure it's a lot easier now than it was back then when I got custody a long time ago, because that was like 20 some odd, like 22 years ago. It was a lot harder back then, so I'm pretty sure it's a lot easier now, especially if the mother is just a lunatic and she does all this kind of nonsense. So I would advise you, brothers, man, you got these women, man, they're lunatics. Brothers, go ahead and get your kids, man. Just go ahead and get them. You know, do what you got to do to get them if you can, especially if she's a lunatic like this lady. But we're going to play this tape here, man, and listen to what Miss Pettisclaw has to say. Here we go. Fair use.
My children is dead. I'm done. I'm done with life. And it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done. I'm killing myself. I'm done.
Y'all heard that, right? It's all Jermaine's fault. The children are dead. Now, she done freaking stabbed the kids up. The brother's nowhere around, but somehow she blames him. Let's listen to it one more time.
My children is dead. I'm done. I'm done with life. And it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done. I'm killing myself. I'm done.
Now, I've told y'all about this many, many times before. These women are always talking about they're going to kill themselves. But somehow they never do. They never do. The kids end up dead, but somehow they survive. You know why? Because it's cowardice. They have enough gumption and gall to kill defenseless, innocent little tykes like this. But somehow they just cannot manage to kill themselves. I'm of the mind of, hey, you don't want to live anymore? Take the damn kids to their father and your ass go jump off a bridge. Jump off a skyscraper. Stand in front of a train, whatever the hell you want to do. Why do the little tykes have to die? Why? Why? They're innocent. They obviously have a father in their life who was suing for custody, which means he gives a damn about these babies. But these old mamas, they so fucking selfish, y'all. They're so selfish that they say, you know what? I would rather them be dead than live with their father. Obviously, that's what's on their mind. Obviously. Because if it was really about her being done and wanting to kill herself, she just went ahead and called the father and said, hey, come get these kids. And not said anything. And they just would have found her, like, I don't know, hung or shot or floating in a river or whatever. Because obviously the brother wasn't that far. He saw this on social media and made his way over there to try to save his babies. But I have to jump on the brother now. Because you probably knew she was a lunatic. You probably knew, brother, before you crawled on top of her. That's another thing the brothers got to stop doing. Got to stop climbing on these lunatics, man. You have to stop doing it, brothers. Stop it. And yeah, I know, the lunatic women, you know, they have the best snatch. I get it. If you find that it's necessary for you to crawl on top of a lunatic, wear a goddamn condom. All right? Put a morning after pill in her orange juice the next morning when you wake up. Don't let these lunatics have your babies. They're lunatics. And you're probably sentencing the children to death if she has them. As I have shown y'all over and over and over again. They're lunatics, brothers. Quit climbing on top of them, please. I'm begging you. As many of these as I have shown y'all over the course of I don't know how many days, weeks, and months. A lot of these women are lunatics, man. They suffer from UMI, undiagnosed mental instability. These are psychotic outpatients. Please, brothers, quit climbing on top of these old mamas. Please. I'm begging you. And maybe, just maybe, if y'all stop climbing on these lunatics, maybe I just might run out of these stories, brothers. I might just run out of stories. And that is our old mama of the day. But let's go ahead, man, and get into it, because tonight I want to talk about the rocks, the shells, and the chicken feet. And y'all might be wondering, what do I mean when I say that? Because we as black folk, right? We are a quote unquote spiritual people, right? We're a spiritual group of folks. And being a spiritual group of folks, like we are, a lot of us are into church, right? A lot of us are into church. We go there, we pray. You know, us black folk. And you may be wondering, what does this have to do with anything, X? Well, I'm about to tell you. Because I got this info here, right? About religious practices, right? And this is from the Pew Research Center. You know, I get it. It's the white man's data. So just take it with a salt mine. Y'all know the salt mine. Y'all know what it is. They go in there, they get the salt off the side of the walls, and it be like a grayish color, and they load it on the truck and take it to the processing center to turn it white. Just take it with a salt mine, all right? But let's read a paragraph. It says here, most black adults engage in traditional religious practices, such as attending religious services and praying. A majority, 61%, say they go to religious services at least a few times a year, including 1/3 who report that they typically go each week. Frequent prayer is even more common, with 63% saying they pray outside of religious service on a daily basis. Fewer, 38%, say they read scripture outside of religious services several times per week. Although by all three of these measures, black Americans are more religious than U.S. adults overall. Now, that being said, or should I say that being read, let's go down here, because I know a lot of you, especially those of you who have connections to people in the South, you're probably aware of some of the gobbledygook, the spiritual, quote unquote, magic. And those of you who had an old grandma, or maybe your old mama, talked about something called roots, right? And if you look online, right? If you look online, they actually tell you how to do it. They actually tell you how to put a root on someone. It says here, how do you put roots on someone? And it gives you the whole step by step. Putting roots on someone requires obtaining a personal item from the person and working the spell with the specific items needed to achieve the desired result. Herbs, candles, and incense are standard items used when putting roots on someone. A spell may be completed in less than an hour or up to 9 days using traditional methods. First, you have to obtain a personal item: hair, fingernail clippings, or or a worn, unwashed article of clothing. Notice they say unwashed, I guess because your scent need to be on it or something. A worn, unwashed article of clothing are often used to put roots on someone. Depending on the intention, specific items such as an unwashed sock worn by the person may be required to complete the spell. Work the spell. Herbs or other items may be necessary to put roots on someone, depending on the nature of the spell and its intention. For instance, rose petals are often used in love spells, while graveyard dirt or poppy seeds can be used to curse someone. Perform the work during the appropriate moon phase, if possible. Oh, so this shit don't work unless the moon is in a certain position in the sky. And that's something. Number 3, dispose of the materials used. Some spells require practitioners to place the items in the person's home, while others require burying any materials used in the working of the spell. Dispose of the items used as described in the specific working. Burying the items at a crossroads is generally acceptable method of disposal for most spells. So they actually tell you how to do the root work. But I want to show y'all this. Let me show y'all this. Let me see. This here is Mr. Baba Ishivu is his name. And I believe he's some type of root doctor. And here it says, how do you put roots on someone? He said, doing roots to put a curse on someone to cause a person supernatural harm or bad luck. Do you feel like your husband or wife might be having someone stalking her or him? Yes, it's possible someone can put a spell on your spouse and you don't want that to be happening to your loved one. Putting roots on your spouse has so many benefits that will save you from the stress, but bring good luck in your relationship. Putting roots on someone requires obtaining a personal item, which we read in the other article, from the person and working the spell with the specific items needed to achieve the desired result. And of course, the herbs, candles, and incense are standard items used when putting roots on someone. A spell may be completed in less than an hour or up to 9 days using traditional methods. They said that in the other article. He says, I have put roots using my spells so many people, and to keep it personal and private. I don't mention the names, but the states in the USA where I have done spells on my travels there, on request of the client, or casting the spells in my temple. North Carolina, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and South Carolina. Note, roots are not a myth, and you wouldn't let it pass because it has been used for thousands of years before you and I were born. but it wasn't mistaken when I was chosen by my ancestors to take on the job my ancestors have been doing for a very long time, with guaranteed results every time we cast these root spells for people in person and through my temple. And then he goes into telling you, how to put the roots on folks, working the spell, and then, of course, throwing it away. And I think he sells his root spells. I believe he sells them. I think that's what he's got going on here. So, roots on demand, y'all. Roots on demand. Now, I don't know with a lot of people if they're necessarily doing roots per se, right? But we know that there's a lot of people that we know in our lives. They might even be related to us. They have these altars in their house, right? And no shit, they even tell you how to make one of these too. They tell you how to make an altar at home. All right? It says, behold, whether you're a witch who needs a cool space to do your spell work, or a mystic with an overflowing collection of crystals and tarot cards, or just a spiritual BB craving a place to meditate, I have one word for you: altar. It tells you how to set it up, where to set it up, tells you you need spell candles. It tells you where to put it. And look. So really, what things should you place on your altar? Novo recommends anything that helps you cultivate the energy you want to embody or remind you to connect with your spiritual side. For example, photos of your ancestors, crystals, candles, written prayers, spells, and rituals, flowers, statues, pictures of objects that remind you of what you're manifesting, beloved books, a journal, a meditation cushion, tarot and oracle cards, and of course, no altar is complete without incense. Tells you how to protect your altar, because the altar must be protected. Rituals to practice at your altar. Notice that I'm not reading most of this shit. Okay? Now, these are things to buy, because it's always a catch to it, right? You need to buy these things to make your altar complete. You got the moon deck paper box. You got red rosebuds, incense burners, hand-rolled charcoal incense, tourmalated quartz ball, rough rhodonite. Manifest that shit. Manifestation journal. Manifest that shit is what it says. Mystic Monday tarots, black salt, mixed colored candles, candle wick snuffer, you are loved magic candle. So there's plenty of stuff you can kind of purchase to do your spells and whatnot at your altar. If y'all are interested, I'll go ahead and put this in the chat, because black folks, we are magical people. So let me go ahead and put this in the chat for y'all, just in case y'all are feeling the urge to build an altar. Oh, Brother E. Taylor, you do? Email it to me, brother. I'll use it. If you got a clip about these old mamas, I will use it, my brother. Go ahead and send it to my email. I shall use it, my brother. I shall use it. Send it to me. But yeah, we're going to move on, because I got one more thing I want to show you, good folks, before we get into it. Let me see. Oh, I did that already. In fact, let me let me do this. Because I know that you good folks have seen these things before. I know you have. You don't have to admit it, but I know there's some brothers out there who have seen this shit. You've seen it. You've seen the chick with the altar, with the candles, and the stones, and the beads, and the pictures of dead folks. You've seen it. You have. If not today, yesterday, last week, last year, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, you've seen it. You might have seen this. You know, another altar, bottles and tarot cards and plants and herbs and spells, and you've seen it, brothers. You've seen it. Or maybe you've seen this. Another altar with fruit and flowers and more pictures of dead folks and jars of water, incense. You've seen it. Or perhaps this. Something a little more religious. A cross, tarot cards, olive oil, candles, plates. You've seen it. You've seen it. Or maybe something like this. Buddhism statues, crystals, beads. You've seen it. You brothers have seen it. Or maybe even this. Power crystals, amethyst, seashells, plants, candles, bottles. You've seen it. You've seen it, brothers. Or maybe this. Something a little more refined. The amethyst, the candles, the rocks, the shells, the mini pyramids. Brothers, you've seen it. And of course, my favorite, the colored chicken feet by the altar. You've seen it. You've seen it, brothers. But let me ask you, brothers, did you ever wonder what this stuff was for? Did you ever wonder why they have this stuff? Did you ever wonder why this shit is in the house? Did you ever wonder? Did you ever ask when you saw it? Maybe when you were a kid. Maybe when you were younger. Maybe when there was a woman you were dating and she had this shit in her house. Or maybe she didn't just have this shit in her house. She was a chick like these you see here. You know, all spiritual and zoned out, always acting like they're on fucking mushrooms. You walk in on her and she's doing this shit. But you don't question it. Especially if you're younger, right? You're 18, 19 years old. You're like, fuck it, I don't care if she does this shit. Long as she gonna take her clothes off later. But I think all of us have seen these type of chicks. Because let's be honest, man. Most of the time, it's women. The reason why I titled this The Rocks, the Shells, and the Chicken Feet is because these people, let me give y'all an anecdote. When I was coming up, right, I had quite a few friends as a young guy. And a couple of my friends, their mothers were single, right? I was one of my friends, there was maybe 15, 20 of us, that kind of hung around each other. And there was only about 3 or 4 of us who actually had fathers living in the house. So most of my friends that I knew coming up, of course, they were being raised by an old mama, right? And you would go to their house and their mom would have like an altar, like the ones you saw. And there would be candles up there and rocks and shells and cards, crystals, the jars of water, just the craziest of shit. Now, when I was younger, I never paid it a lot of mind, because I didn't understand what it was. But even now, all right, 2022, there are women that I know that have this shit in their house today. I have people in my family. I have women in my family who have the fucking altar, incense burning, beads, shells, colored rocks, and pictures of dead folks. So, of course, now that I'm an adult, I ask, what is this? And you always get the same answer. Oh, it protects you from spirits. It brings good energy in the house, et cetera, et cetera. They give you a bunch of gobbledygook. It draws the power from the ancestors. It channels the energy from the ancestors. And the crazy thing is that all of these women are magical, right? We hear it all the time. They're an empress, they're a sorceress, they're a witch, they're a voodoo priestess. They're an empath, all right? They're psychic. They're telekinetic. They're all this shit. They're Peter Pan. They're a fucking dwarf. They're an elf. They're a fucking fairy. They're a dragon. They're all this magical, mystical bullshit, right? But one thing I noticed about all the women who have these fucking altars of bullshit, every single one of them is single. Every single one of these women are single. Because let's be honest, man. Ain't no man in his right fucking mind trying to be around a woman who got a fucking a bunch of shit on a table with chicken feet, seashells, rocks, candles, water, and incense burning. And she's explaining to you how this shit draws some kind of fucking power from somewhere. And it's crazy because you got all these people talking all this mystical, magical shit with their rocks, their shells, and their fucking chicken feet. And most of the people who do this shit, man, their lives are in fucking shambles. They talk to you about this magical shit, but their lives are in fucking shambles. Shambles. And they're telling you how it draws in all this energy. It draws in all this magic. But what this shit really does is it repels anybody with any fucking sense. Because like I said, I got people in my family. I got women in my family who have this shit. You go to their house, man, you see all this bullshit. And they're telling you how it does this and it does that. And then they wonder why don't no fucking man want to be around them. If a fucking man come over your house and he see that shit, the first thing he's going to say is, what is this shit? As soon as you start talking that old mystical, magical, fairy, goddess, empress bullshit, he's out of there. He's out of there. And it's crazy. See, Xavier, can you unlock my other account, Cortez Smith? Oh shit, what, you got blocked? All right, I'll look in there. As a matter of fact, I'll go in there now and do it. Yeah, I mean, and you're right, brother Sent Perger. I mean, they have been doing this shit for years. For years. I told you I saw it when I was a little boy. You go in there, man, they got these fucking murals and masks and they're always telling you about this magical, mystical shit. The voices that they hear and how the fucking ancestors are coming to visit them and they're talking to the trees and you're like, what? What are you talking about, woman? They got all these mystical, magical, sorcery powers and spiritual energy and all this kind of bullshit. But for some reason, all this magical shit doesn't do anything for their lives. It's like they're married to this fucking shrine. Because, see, ain't no fucking man there. So the fucking shrine is the husband. And like I said, notice the fucking women who do this shit, all of them are single somehow. I was talking to Brother Supreme, man, last week about this shit. I said, you ever seen a fucking, has a witch doctor ever introduced you to her husband? Of course she hasn't. She doesn't have one. She hasn't been around a man in 35 years. What man in his right mind gonna be around a woman with a fucking staff with seashells on it and a bone through her fucking nose? She got motherfucking dead animals in jars and fucking chicken blood in the refrigerator and fucking beads and shit hanging all over the place. What man wants to be around that? While she walking around there, quote unquote, casting spells and shit. What man in his right motherfucking mind is going to be around that? And it's crazy because you hear it, you even hear it on here. You hear it. They're magic, you know. They're an empath. They're sorceress. They're a witch. They're a priestess. They're a goddess. They're a fairy. They're fucking dragon. They're Peter Pan. But somehow all these magical fucking powers that these people possess, their life is shit. The ancestors are speaking to me. Well, they're telling you all the wrong shit, girl. You mean to tell me the ancestors didn't tell you not to have 3 and 4 baby daddies? The spirit didn't tell your black ass to not have 6 fucking kids by 4 different men? If this is what you're listening to, it's time to stop listening. It's time. And from what I understand, it's some brothers who into this shit. You know, they voodoo doctors and they're shamans and all this kind of bullshit. And you know why You know why they do it, right? Because they were raised by women like this. And that's the sad part about it, right? Because what happens? That shit trickles right on down to the kids. And the kids grow up thinking they're magical. Thinking they're freaking sorceress and dragons and witches and the invisible man and superheroes and the goddamn kids grow up thinking mom's a witch. Mom's a sorceress. Mom's a genie. It's like, come the fuck on. Why on earth would you want children to do this shit? Why on earth would you want your children thinking that you're this fucking priestess? That you're this magical being? That you're this powerful fucking person, but they look around and see their life is shit. They look around and they have to share clothes with one another. Mom's magical, but we're eating roaches. Mom's a sorceress, but we living like paupers. Mom's a genie, but she can't magically get the lights back on after they went off. You see where I'm going here? With all the magical, mystical shit that these people claim to possess, a lot of them, their lives do not reflect it. If you ask me, my opinion on this is that the reason these people do this, man, let's be honest. These people have holes in their lives, man. They have holes in their lives. And I think this bullshit fills those holes. Because they can use this, right, for whenever something goes bad in their life. Because I've heard people say, damn, Brother Cortez, I don't see, let me go back through this, man, because it's like 1,000 motherfuckers in here. It's like 1,000 people on the block list. Like 1,000. 1,000 motherfuckers on the block list. 1,000. The bot's been busy. The bot has been busy, folk. It's been busy. And see, I don't really clear it out unless you hit me up. And I'll check. Let me see. I don't see you. Maybe I might just be passing over it. But this is what I'll do, Brother Cortez. I will go back through this later and find you and pluck you out of there. All right? You got my word on that. Because like I said, it's like 1,000 motherfuckers on here, man. It's like 1,000 motherfuckers on here. And if you ain't right at the top or right at the bottom, I might have passed. It. Let me see. So many motherfuckers in here, boy. Jesus Christ. If this was a prison, it'd be overflowing. I'd have to give motherfuckers early release. If this was a prison, I would have to give motherfuckers early parole. Because we running out of beds. We'd be running out of beds, boy. Yeah, we'd be running out of beds. Yeah, it's too many motherfuckers in here, boy. Yeah, if this was a prison, we'd be running out of beds. I'd have to set some motherfuckers free. Yeah, man, it's a lot of motherfuckers in here, boy. Jesus Christ. Yes, it is. But I'm looking at some of these names. Some of these names that I see, they're going to stay right the fuck in here. Yeah, they're not getting released. They are not getting released. They will be there for an eternity. They will remain in the hoot scow for an eternity. They're doing life. They are doing life. Yeah, because I see a lot of motherfuckers in here that I'm glad they in here. Yeah, I'm glad they fucking in here. Yeah, but I will go through it, Brother Cortez, probably right after the stream or in the morning, and I will pluck you out of there, brother. You got my word on that. I will pluck you out of there because you've been following me for a while. So the bot probably got you, man. You might have said something that offended the bot. You know, the bot is very moody, Brother Cortez. It's very moody. It's very moody. It will fucking, it gets in that, it wants to chop off heads move, man. And, you know, not a lot you can do, man. If I catch it, I stop it. You know, if I catch it, but I don't always catch it because I don't pay a lot of attention to the chat. I pay some attention to the chat, but I don't pay a lot to it. Yeah, I mean, it's like a million motherfuckers in here, man. It's like a million motherfuckers in here, man. It's a lot of people in here, boy. Jesus. Yeah, man. Yeah, if this was a prison, I'd have to give motherfuckers early parole. Yeah, but what I'll do is I'll go through it. I'll get you out of there, brother. I will pull you out of the hoot scow. I will pull you out, my brother. I will give you release. I will give you parole. I shall parole thee. I shall parole thee. We need the bed, man. Got to get you out of there. I need the bed. All right? Got to get you out of there. But yeah, man. We all know. Oh, yo, shit. I wasn't even paying attention to that. Shout out to Lady Celine with the $1.99 super chat. Appreciate that, Lady Celine. She says, girl, the ancestors be giving me signs. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. The ancestors are giving them signs. And if you ask them, signs of what? Because, you know, I know a few broads who are into this whole spiritual, mystical, I'm an empress, I'm a witch, I'm a psychic, you know, people, right? And I ask them, I fuck with them. I'll be like, well, if you know all this mystical, magical stuff, why your ass ain't rich? Why your ass ain't married? Why your ass broke? And why you got so many damn baby daddies? Like, I mean, if you getting all these signs and all this wisdom, you know, from the people that been dead forever, and, you know, those rocks and incense and chicken feet and shells that you fucking worship, I mean, don't you think, you know, I mean, what kind of magic is it if it's not, you know, protecting you from the bullshit in your life? I mean, it's all this magic. You got all this magic that you claim is here, but you don't see nothing magical about these people's lives. There's nothing magical going on. Not a goddamn thing. But I appreciate that, $1.99 super chat, Lady Celine. You know, when you drop coins on this platform, you get this. I appreciate you dropping your hard-earned coins on this platform. Appreciate that, Lady Celine. That $1.99 super chat. But yeah, you know, because I know when I was younger, right? When I was a young kid, and I would, like go over one of my friend's house, and, his mom would have she'd have like the incense burning, the fucking candles, shells and all kind of colored rocks and crystals and all this kind of bullshit. And you don't go near it. I mean, you get close, they be like, oh, don't go by that. Oh, don't you touch that. Don't you touch that. I mean, this thing is sacred. This thing is like, it's like this shrine to insanity. Because me personally, I believe that you got to have some type of mental illness, all right? You got to be suffering from UMI, undiagnosed mental illness. If you got a fucking a shrine with rocks and shells and beads and fucking petals and paper and candles and pictures of all these dead people, and you're trying to tell me how this shit has some type of magic in it, but you can't explain what the magic is. You have this kind of shit set up, but you can't even explain what it does. It's supposed to drive spirits away. No, what it is driving fucking men away, is what it's doing. Because once they come to your house and they see that shit, they're never coming back. Once they come to your house and they see that, they're never coming back. They're never coming back. Because when they see that, they already know you're freaking insane. Now, of course, they may come in there that one time and fuck your ass. I mean, because, as brothers, we have a tendency to climb on top of lunatics. That's why I'm doing an old mama of the day every time I stream. Now, they might come and do that. They'd be like, yeah, man, she crazy, boy. I bet you she got that thing on her, boy, because she's insane. Yeah, they'll be there that one day, but they're not coming back. Especially once they see that shit, the motherfucking chicken blood and the shells and the motherfucking candles and the jars with all kinds of shit in it and the pictures of dead folks. They're not coming back. They're not coming back. Because the shit is weird, right? You can't explain it. They can't fucking explain it. All right? They can't explain it. And yeah, you're right, Brother Cortez. But if you sweep their foot, that's bad luck. But it's not bad luck to have pictures of dead people next to fucking rocks and shells. And sometimes they have like these little tubs of dirt where the soil came from somewhere and ashes. But if your feet get swept, that's bad luck. But these pictures of people who died 60 years ago ain't. This damn crow's foot ain't. This damn pigeon head in this fucking jar ain't. None of that's bad luck. Absolutely not. The chopped off chicken head and fucking turtle tails in a fucking jar and motherfucking and motherfucking preserved frogs, none of that is bad luck. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. None of that's bad luck. But if I sweep your feet, that's bad luck. Or do y'all remember the one? Maybe y'all don't remember this one. You walking down the street, and it's maybe 2 or 3 of y'all, and you know, if you walk, especially in a town or a city, you know, the telephone poles are, you know, like on the sidewalk, or the light poles are on the sidewalk, right? And if y'all are walking and the pole is here and one of y'all go around the pole, they'll stop you. Your friends will be like, don't split the pole. Don't split the pole. Now, I heard that when I was a young guy, all right, when I was like 10, 11, 12. So you know what that means? They learned that shit from where? From their mother. Yep, stepping on a crack. Don't step on a crack on the sidewalk. If you drop a plate, you're supposed to count the pieces, and however many pieces it breaks into, that tells you that tells you what kind of luck you're gonna have in the future. I mean, just a bunch of ridiculous shit. Ridiculous shit. 'Cause you know, we are magical people. We're magic, right? But if we're so magical, why would stepping on a crack do something? Why would splitting the pole do something? Why would it? We're magical. We got pigeon heads and turtle tails and chicken feet and candles and incense and rocks and all kinds of crystals sitting at the crib. Stepping on a crack is minimal. That's infinitesimal, right? No way someone sweeping my feet can penetrate the magic of this fucking bullshit. Right? I mean, come on. You trying to tell me that sweeping my feet is more powerful than these? Is that what you're telling me? You're trying to tell me that if I split the pole, it's more powerful than these chicken feet. That's what you're saying. You're saying it's more powerful than these. Look at those feet. One of them got a crystal on it, tied to a stone. One's freaking black and tied to a red stone with red rope on it and feathers. This one here is purple with beads on it and ribbons and more feathers. You trying to tell me that stepping on a crack can defeat this or this or this? Trying to tell me splitting the pole can defeat this? Breaking a plate can defeat this? Or this? Or this? Or this here? Especially when I got the fucking oranges. I got a cigar on that motherfucker. Some rocks. Some fucking cards. Incense burning. Flowers. Pictures of dead folks. No way. No way can breaking a mirror defeat this. right? No way splitting the pole can defeat this, right? No way. Or this. I got tarot cards. I got spells. I got herbs, talisman, candles, doilies. No way she can be defeated, right? She got the bees, the crystals, the incense, the candles, more pictures of dead folks. That's what trips me out. The pictures of dead folks. If you're going to have pictures of dead folks, wouldn't it make more sense for them to be on the wall or in an album? I don't understand the pictures of dead folks just on something. Like, aren't you kind of consecrating the photo if you got all this other stuff around it? All these other things that have nothing to do with these people. You got pictures of, I guess, your relatives or whoever, right? Like this girl here, you know, she's got pictures of, it looks like white folks and black folks. You know, they probably all her relatives or whatever, right? Wouldn't it mean more? Wouldn't the photos be considered more sacred if they were like arranged nicely on the wall or in an album? You got their pictures next to candles where they could possibly, you know, get heat damage or burn. You got them next to rocks, fruit, shells. Look like this girl got some type of chicken feet inside the thing underneath the picture. You know, I mean, because I have relatives that have died, right? I would never put their picture next to some chicken feet or a turtle head or a turtle tail or a pigeon wing or a hog's eye or whatever they use, right? I wouldn't have it next to this shit. I wouldn't have it next to some bullshit herbs and the bullshit in jars. And I just wouldn't have it next to that shit. I just wouldn't. Because to me, that would be like desecrating it. That would be like desecrating it to me. I wouldn't do it. I couldn't imagine having like a picture of my old man like next to this shit. Like, as much as I like cigars, right? I wouldn't have my old man's picture here next to fruit and shells and incense and flowers and no. Yes, it is an altar, Lady Samantha. It's an altar. But what does it do? What does it do? That is the question. That is the question. What does this mean right here? What does this mean? These candles and shells and herbs and crystals and rocks and shit in bottles. It's an altar to what? To me, it's just rock, shells, and chicken feet. Rocks, shells, and chicken feet. I believe that this kind of shit doesn't keep anything away. What it does is it brings shit in. I believe this shit brings bad energy in, not keep it out. Especially when you got dead animal parts and fucking dirt that you done got out the graveyard. And fucking garbage. Old stinking seashells off the beach. And some old rocks that don't mean anything. It's not even like they have personal effects of a person. Because what you're doing is you're giving power to inanimate objects for the most part. Because what are you doing? Praying to these fucking rocks? Praying to these candles? To these herbs? To the shit in jars? To the fucking chicken heads? Because when I look at this shit reminds me of the movies where you see the old witch doctor and you walk into this room and there's beads hanging from the ceiling. And a bunch of fucking masks that look satanic. And a bunch of pictures of dead folks all over the place. And it's real smoky in that motherfucker. And there's a whole bunch of shit in jars, you know, like different kinds of animals, just their body parts in different jars and shit, like all over the house. And you come in there to get a spell cast. And the witch doctor is like, oh, I need some blood. And guess what? She has some in the refrigerator. Like 20 gallons of that shit. Oh, we're going to need some chicken blood. And she just happens to have some. She just happens to have a bucket of fucking chicken blood in the refrigerator. Oh, we're going to need a snake head. Oh, she just happens to have snakes too. To chop her head off and use it. But like I said, have you ever went to see a witch doctor and she introduced you to her husband? Even if you look on the movies, the old witch doctor is just some single old fucking lady in some smoky fucking place, beads all over the place, stuffed crows and shit, cats, dead frogs and dead insects in jars, candles and incense burning all over the place. She never introduces someone to her husband, does she? Of course she doesn't. You know why? Because she doesn't have one. There is no such thing as a married witch doctor. Yeah, there's no such thing. Because not any man with half a fucking brain is going to be around some fucking woman with a bone through her fucking nose. She carries a stick with colored stones in it. And she's got a bucket of chicken blood in the refrigerator. And jars with dead animals in it, preserved and shit. Just preserved. Just in case she might need them. Just in case she might need a dead animal, she have them in jars preserved, like your grandma would preserve peaches or apples or oranges or pears. Not her. She's got birds. She's got chickens preserved. She's got she's got snakes. She got snakes preserved. Giant insects, frogs, lizards. She's got those preserved. Not apples or pears, but snakes, lizards, and frogs. Oh my God. And the crazy thing is, I know some of y'all listening out there, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Because some of y'all old mamas did this shit. Y'all know women who do this shit. Y'all seen it. Some of you might even have grown up in it. Mom was a witch. Mom was a fairy. She was an empress, a goddess, a soothsayer, a voodoo priestess. She was all this magical, mystical shit. She was all these things. And y'all wonder why a lot of black children grow up the way they do. They grow up like this because they got all these fucking witches and empresses and sorcerers and soothsayers and fucking priestesses raising them. How can a kid grow up to be normal when mom is a witch doctor? Mom is a soothsayer. Mom is a caster of spells. How can a kid grow up to be a normal person when his mom is fucking Peter Pan? His mom's an elf. She's a dwarf. She's a dragon. What is the kid supposed to grow up to be? Normal? And every day he got to live in the house with all this bullshit you see on your screen and pictures of dead folks with motherfucking chicken heads laying on that motherfucker. He got to walk by that shit every day and pretend it's normal. And we wonder why some of these kids grow up and turn out the way they turn out. When they got their mothers teaching them this shit. Now I know some of y'all are like, oh man, you know, this doesn't mean anything. You're right, Brother Cortez. A lot of them, this is where their focus is. Their focus is on this shit. Because they worship this shit. They worship this. They worship this shit. This shit means something. Like I said before, I think a lot of people do this shit, man, to fill gaps in their fucking lives. They got gaps in their lives. And this is how they fill it. And the crazy thing is, one of these old soothsayer, witches, dragons, sorceress people, I mean, once they get involved with like a man for a little while, they forget all about this shit. They forget all about it. Especially if he's somebody that's like kind of coming around or caught their interest. They don't pay no more attention to the shit then. They focus back on this shit after the man done left. If they can get one to come in there, that is. Because this has become their partner. See, this voodoo, magic, sorcery bullshit is sort of like racism, right? They can blame all problems on it. Because, see, the only thing they blame on shit like this is the bad shit. If something good happened to them, you think they give this fucking shit right here any credit? Hell no. This shit here only gets credit when bad shit happens. Oh, somebody put a curse on me. Oh, somebody made a voodoo doll of me. Because you notice a lot of these people, they always telling you how somebody's doing something to them. Somebody's following them. Somebody's casting a spell on them. Someone put a spell on their phone. Put a spell on their car. Put a spell on their house. Put a spell on their boss at their job. Like, and you listen to these people, man, and it's like, because to believe that there's this mystical force that you actually have control of is somewhat insane to me. To me, that's kind of insane. To believe that there's this mystical force that you have control of. It's one thing to acknowledge this, whatever mystical force they say is there. That's one thing. But to say that you have some degree of control over it is saying that not only what you believe in is supernatural, but you must be supernatural too, right? If you can wield this supernatural thing, if you can take these rocks and crystals and shells and jars and keep bad supernatural parts out, draw in good supernatural things. Because basically, you're controlling it, right? You have a degree of control over it. That's why you built this bullshit. Right? That's why you put this together. That's why you built this. That's why you got this on the table, right? Because this either draws things in and or keeps things out. One of the other, if not both, right? Therefore, you must wield some degree of power, or you are giving these things power. You're giving these things power. You're saying that some fucking rocks, some pyramids, some crystals, some candles, some shells, some herbs work against this supernatural force, or works with this supernatural force, right? That's what you're saying. Now, if you believe in this shit, fine. You believe in it, fine. But a lot of people are going to think you're insane. A lot of people are going to think you have some type of mental illness. Because sit down and talk to somebody who has one of these. Listen to the things they talk about. Listen to the things they say. They talk about how the trees speak to them. They talk about how the ancestors speak with them. They talk about how they had a vision and how their ancestors came to them in their sleep. And how the spirits told them to play a number. The spirit told them to play the Powerball. The spirit gave them the numbers. The spirit told them to quit their job. The spirit told them to go to the store. You know, I mean, you you listen to these people, man, and it's like, what are you talking about? It's like, what are you talking about? And we know that a lot of these people who do this shit, man, instead of freaking kneeling to this altar or standing by it, rubbing on it, or breathing in the the smoke from the incense and candles. Some of them just need to be laying on a psychology couch or a psychiatrist's couch. That's what they need to do. This shit here probably need to go in the trash, and the money they spent on all this bullshit that's on this table, they need to have took that shit and gave it to a fucking psychiatrist. Give this shit to a fucking psychiatrist and, talk the issues over. Talk the issues over. Now, don't get me wrong. It's one thing if you're, I don't know, some type of religious person, and you got a table where you keep, I guess, your biblical literature and, a crucifix or rosary beads or whatever. And, it's just kind of where you keep it. But this here, all right, when you look at this stuff here, I think this is more than that. I think this is more than that. I think this is something to give you a bit of not only psychological escapism, but this is something for you to use as, I don't know, you use this as a thing to comfort you. I think these things comfort people. A bunch of candles and rocks and chicken heads and fish eyes, and I think it just comforts people, man. And I think that when you got this stuff around children, you indoctrinate children to believe in these fucking things, these objects, and you teach them to rely on these objects for whatever. You teach them to rely on rocks and fucking shells and shit. You teach them to, because you got a table with all this bullshit on it, that somehow life is better because this is here. I think that is the true thing. I think that's what's most problematic. Now, I'm not one to tell people how to raise their kids. You can raise your kids any way you want. But if a kid watches his mother talk about the power of this table full of junk, a kid watches his mother talking to this table full of junk, a kid sees his mother claiming she gains her strength from this table full of junk, what is the kid being taught? That this table full of junk means something. That this table full of junk is going to give them strength, give them power. Because even if it is somewhat religious, you're going to have the kid thinking that this is the Ark of the Covenant. Right? Because that's kind of where we are, right? That's where we're at. Let's be honest. That is where we are. And I just think that these things allow people to express their mental illness. Because like I said, I know quite a few people. I've seen quite a few people in my lifetime that have these things in their house, man. And let me tell you something. Like every single one of them, almost every single one of them, their fucking lives are in shambles. They got all this shit and their fucking life is still a mess. This shit ain't got them no money. This shit ain't made them no better living situation. This shit ain't got them no husband. This shit ain't made things better for the kids. Nothing. These motherfucking altars have not done shit for these people. And everybody that I know that I've ever seen this shit was a female. I've never seen any men with this shit. Never. I've never seen a man with this shit. Every person that I've seen with this shit is a female. Table full of fucking rocks and seashells and bushes and grass and shells of snails and colored beads. And I've seen altars with like broken glass in a fucking jar, glasses with fucking water in it, glasses with wine in it, and half drinking bottles of rum, and like what the fucking ancestors, they drink liquor too. And when you ask them about this shit, they can never explain it. They can never fucking explain any of this shit. I don't want shit in my house that I can't explain. Ain't nothing in here I can't explain to you. It's in here, but I can't explain to you what it does or what its purpose is. It's just here. But then again, we are a magical people, right? We are magical people. We're all magical. Brother Cortez says this is why women aren't meant to be left alone for long periods of time. They get into all sorts of crap. Yeah. Because like I said, everybody I know who has one of these shits is a female. I see shit like this, it's in the house of a female. Motherfucking colored chicken feet. Those are the people who talk about the fucking roots and all this old shit. They're the ones. And you gotta feel sorry for the children who are growing up in this shit. Because the old mama kneel next to this shit, but not help them with their homework. Not help them with their schoolwork. Not go talk to their teacher. Not go talk to their guidance counselor. Not go talk to the principal about anything. Never make time for the PTA meetings. But she got time to do this shit. She got plenty of time for this. She makes sure she got fresh candles for this. She makes sure she's got fresh incense for this. Keep this motherfucking altar spiffy and clean, but the rest of the house look like a motherfucking bomb exploded in it. Because this shit is the most important thing, right? It's more important than the kids. It's more important than the life. It's more important than their homework. It's more important if they eating healthy. The one true thing in their life, I guess they can give meaning to. Because I say again, most of the females that I've seen most of the females that I've seen with this kind of shit, their fucking lives are in shambles, man. It's not like they do this shit and they winning. They do this shit and they got a great family life. They do this shit and they rich. They do this shit and fucking, their lives flourish. No. They do all of this and their fucking lives are in hell. That's what leads me to believe that this shit draws bad shit in. Because you see all this nonsense, you see these people up against these things, and you don't see no improvement in their lives from it. You don't see it. That's what leads me to believe that maybe, just maybe, this shit brings bad shit in. It don't keep bad shit out. Because let's be honest, man. How much power can rocks, shells, and chicken feet have? How much power can it possibly have? Yep. 9 times out of 10, when you see this shit, it's somebody in the hood. Goddamn roaches and shit crawling on the motherfucking altar. The only neat corner in the house is the corner where this shit is. Everything else looks like a motherfucking catastrophe. But where this shit is, it's nice and neat, it's in order. Because that's the one part of the house that no one has access to. No one can touch it. Even the kids know. Even the kids know not to touch this shit. And they don't know how to read. They don't know how to write. They don't know how to count or do math. But they know not to touch this damn stand with fruit, incense, chicken feet, and pictures of dead folks on it. They know not to touch that. They know not to touch that, even if they don't know shit else. But then again, this is something made by mama, right? Because mama worships this. She worships these objects. She worships these objects. And see, the thing with a lot of us, right? Because we're always talking about the different crises and situations inside of black society, right? I heard earlier today on Brother Truism's stream where they were talking about love with black folks. And they were discussing how black people don't really talk about love, right? And I think it has a lot to do with, now, don't quote me on this. I'm just giving you what I believe. I think when it comes down to that, the reason why a lot of black people don't talk about love is because, see, we conflate love with worship. Let me say that again. We conflate love with worship. Because you will hear people say, oh, I love my mama. I love my mama. But how often do you hear people say they love their wife, or they love their husband, or they love their children, or they love their father? So we equate love with worship many times. Therefore, the only person we really love is mama, because, see, we conflate love with worship, and we worship mama, so we see that as love. So we don't try to equate the love to anyone else, because we see that as worshiping the person, because we don't really know the whole love thing, right? We know the worship. But this thing here, these altars, this rocks, shells, and chicken feet, we worship this too. This is something else we worship. Because a lot of us, let's be honest, we weren't taught love. We were taught worship. Especially those of us who were raised by a bunch of women. Our old mama, our old good-for-nothing aunts, our old grandmama. We weren't taught love. We were taught worship. So that's all we know, a lot of us, is worship. So why would someone want to say they worship a woman, or worship their kids, or worship their father? Only one person is worthy of worship, right? Old mama is the only person worthy of worship. Old mama and the shit that old mama has taught us. Like this shit here, these candles, these pictures of dead folks, the rocks, the shells, the chicken feet. Because make no mistake, you learn this shit from your mother. More than likely, if you're doing this, this is something your mom probably did too. There may be a few men out there who dip and dab in this nonsense, but let's be honest, man. This kind of shit comes from these women. They're the ones with these fucking altars, these fucking shrines. How many fucking men you know got this shit in their house? If they got pictures of dead folks, they got them on the wall. They got them in a scrapbook. They got them in a photo album. They don't got pictures of dead folks sitting on top of some fucking stand with candles and fish heads, man. And fucking herbs and incense and shit. Somewhere where they going to kneel down and look at it. Because even if you're a Muslim, man, and you praying to the east, man, guess what? You get down on your prayer rug and you pray to the east. You don't get in front of some fucking altar with a bunch of bullshit on it and pray towards it. You don't do it. Not in your house. You're not in your house doing that. Something else that I think, kind of screws with the minds of black folks, man. It screws with the minds of black folks. Some shit to fucking distract black folks from what's really happening. Thinking that this fucking shit is giving us some type of power. And like I said, a lot of the people that you see with this shit, man, guess what? Their lives don't reflect the power that they say these things have. Their lives don't reflect it. Now, they may tell you that, having this shit around, has a deeper meaning, a greater meaning. But they can't tell you what that deeper and greater meaning is. And it's one thing if you're doing this shit, you're an adult. But when you're pushing this shit to children, that's where I think the problem lies. Because now you got them worshiping rocks, shells, and chicken feet. But y'all want to come up, man, and talk about this shit, I guess we can. Got some time tonight. It's still early. You know what to do. You know what to do. If you want to come through, the email is properthethought@yahoo.com. That's properthethought, one word, no caps, at yahoo.com. You want to come up? Yeah, dope. Brother Dope, supervision. Yeah, man. They worship the rocks and the chicken feet and the shells and the crystals and the beads. She walk around with a bone in her nose and a staff with colored gems in it and sacred amulets around her neck. So I said you go to the witch doctor. Notice she never introduces you to her husband. Why? Because she doesn't have one. Ain't no man trying to be in there with her. She ain't seen a man in 30 years. She ain't been nowhere near a man in 30 years. Why? Because she live in a fucking house and there's beads hanging from the ceiling of every room. There's jars with fucking dead frogs and lizards in it. She's got fucking chickens and shit running around that she grabs and cuts their throats and pours their blood into a bucket. There is no man ever going to be there, except motherfuckers who come there and try to get her to cast some spells, maybe, but you'll never see a married witch doctor or a married voodoo priestess. A married soothsayer. And you don't see it. Likewise, you don't see a lot of these fucking women married that have these fucking altars and candles and fucking glasses of wine sitting on the fucking stand saying it's for the spirits to drink. And that fucking glass of wine been there for 9 years. The spirit ain't drunk that shit yet. I don't even like wine, but I don't think it would take me 9 years to drink one glass of it. I don't think it would take me 9 years to drink one glass of wine. Get the same glass of wine on the fucking altar for like 8 years. It ain't even wine no more. That shit done turned into furniture. That shit done turned into furniture varnish. It ain't even wine no more. That motherfucking alcohol been sitting up there so long it done turned into paint thinner. That shit is paint thinner. You can pour that shit in your paint to thin it out. Talking about it's up there for the spirits to drink. What are you talking about? The same fucking glass of wine has been there for like 6 years. Come on. Come on. But this is what we have, man. This is what we're dealing with. And you can't tell them that this shit ain't real. They're so deeply invested in it. They're so deeply invested in this shit, man. I'm telling you. You can't tell them that this shit ain't real. And ask them why they ain't got no man. It's got something to do with this shit. It's got something to do with the fucking boogeyman that they done created in their own fucking mind. Telling them. Shit. Hold on, y'all. Damn son texting. The hell his ass won't. Text him back right quick, y'all. All right. Yeah. Yeah, you ask them about the shit that's going on in their life, man. They always try to connect it to this fucking gobbledygook that they fucking believe in, man. And it, like I said, it's crazy, man, because everybody's fucking magical. It's the stars. It's the ancestors talking. It's the spirits talking. It's this talking. It's that talking. The fucking trees are talking. The spirits come to them dressed in white. And, like, man, what the fuck are you talking about? Knock it off. Knock it off. Knock it off. For people to have so much magic and spiritual intuition, why do you do so much bullshit? Why do you have so much bullshit in your life? If you got so much of this intuition and so much of this fucking magic that's coming in, why doesn't it keep you from doing some of the bullshit you're doing? That's what I don't understand. Like, you got all this magic. Fucking Peter Pan is here, and the spirits are here, and the ancestors are here, and the dragons are here, and the elves, and the dwarfs, and, you know, it's like Lord of the Rings in this motherfucker. But it don't stop you from doing some of this bullshit you do. It don't teach your ass how to pick better baby daddies. It don't stop your ass from mistreating these fucking kids. It don't make you focus on their development or their education. No, the spirits don't tell you none of that shit. Don't tell you none of that. It just tells you other shit that doesn't mean anything. It just gives you signs about certain men and women that you don't get along with. Why do the spirits and the ancestors and the dragons and the fairies and every fucking body, what, are they not interested in the kids' education? Are they not interested in your development? Are they not interested in helping you make the right decisions? The spirits aren't interested in that. They're interested in all the other shit, but they're not interested in the kids' development or your life going in the right direction. That shit don't interest the spirits at all, huh? Yeah. You right. You right, brother Cortez. Yep. That's the only time the spirits is talking. When Tyrone got another broad. Yeah, the spirits know that. Yeah, the spirits know all about that. But the spirits are not interested in the kids' education, though. They're not interested in that. They're not interested in whether or not the kids eat. Or whether or not you don't leave the 10-year-old home to watch the 8-year-old, the 6-year-old, the 4-year-old, and the 2-year-old. The spirits don't tell you that that's wrong. The spirits don't say, hey, look, you got 5 kids, stay your ass out the club. The spirits don't say that. The ancestors don't tell you that. But they sure will tell you about that Negro, whether or not he somewhere banging another chick. Boy, the spirit can sure tell you that, right? That's the only time the fucking spirit, the goddamn spirit. What's good, brother Perfect Black? My brother, my Chi-Town brother in the house. What's good, brother Perfect Black? The goddamn spirits now. Spirits, they can jump on out of this here when it come time for that, right? They can jump on out of this thing, right? They jump right on out, boy, and tell you he's with another woman. Pay close attention, girl. I am your ancestor. Your boyfriend is across town with another woman. The spirits can jump out of the fucking altar and say that, right? The spirit jump right out of this goddamn picture and say, listen to me. I am the spirit of your altar. Check his phone. There's other females' numbers in there. Check it. Check it now. Yeah. Maybe that's why they have these. Only for that. It serves no other purpose except to tell them when Tyrone is cheating. That's him. That's the altar's only purpose. To tell them when the dude they fucking around with got another woman. That's its only purpose. Even though they got these mystical rock shells and pictures of dead people on it. It's only for that. Yeah, it's only for that. It's not for, keeping them from doing stupid shit with their life. It's not for, making sure, they don't got 5 and 6 baby daddies and shit. It's not so. It's not for, you know, telling them to make proper decisions or, you know, try to not have the fucking kids living in fucking poverty and shit or, you know, don't have too many kids to try to stave off the poverty. Nope. Nope. It doesn't tell them any of that. It just lets him know when other chicks is on his Facebook page. It lets him know that because he was out last night, he must have been with another girl. It lets him know that he got another baby out there. You know, that's what all this shit is for. These oranges and these rocks and these pictures, these glasses, the incense and shit. That's probably the one time the spirit comes in and drinks that wine out of that glass. That's the only time he comes. He don't come any other time. That wine, that liquor stays in that glass for 5 years until that one day he come up in there to tell you about your man cheating. That's the day that he drinks the wine out of the glass. You got to pour some more in there. You got to pour some more in there. Shit is insane, man. It is fucking insane. Fucking insane. It fucking insane. I just think that this is something else, man, that kind of keeps us black people, man, at a disadvantage, man, this kind of shit. You know, along with many other things. Because I don't know what's worse, man. I don't know if this kind of shit is worse or the black church is worse. Because a lot of this shit, man, like these authors and shit, man, this doesn't even have anything to do with like church, man. I don't believe any of this has anything to do with church. I know some of them probably do, but I mean, the ones I've seen have nothing to do with church. Nothing at all. A lot of the women that I've seen with these things, they don't even go to church. They don't even go to church. This is some shit that they have in the house. Like I said, it's a tool of comfort, man. It's a tool of comfort. And I say this again, man. Every woman that I've seen with one of these things, man, she's fucking single. No man is there. No man is living there. No man is living there. This shit don't drive away spirits. This shit drive away men. This shit drives men away. Do not drive away no evil spirits. Because you convince a goddamn man to come up in there. I told you, once he see the shit, he ain't coming back. Unless he one of these dudes who been raised by one of these women who was a witch doctor or voodoo priestess or soothsayer or a spellcaster or a witch. Got him walking around with rock shells and chicken feet. Because I think a certain number of women who do this, a lot of them didn't even start doing this until they got with a particular type of man. He started them doing this shit. He starts them doing this shit, having this altar and worshiping this bullshit. And once he done had enough of fucking them, he bounced the fuck out of there And now she just stuck with the fucking shrine. So she just continues to fucking worship it. Even though the person that started her doing it is gone. I think that happens in a lot of cases too. They get with this dude. He start him with this bullshit. Start him with this fucking altar. Piles of rocks, shells, beads, broken glass. Glass of motherfucking wine for the ancestors to drink. And fill their heads up with a bunch of bullshit. And tell them about how magical all this shit up here is. And guess what? After you had enough of that old pussy of hers, and he bounces, he leaves behind the fucking shrine. And now the fucking shrine becomes the boyfriend and shit. Now the altar is the fucking boyfriend. And she just continues to worship this shit. She continues to worship it. Because, a lot of these old women, man, just, let's be honest here, man. A lot of them are like kind of desperate, man. There's a lot of desperate women out there. Obviously. You can see that just by what's on media these days. Desperation. They all need a man. I need a man. I need a man. Desperate ass fucking people. And most of these chicks, they 30 and older, most of them. Because they wasn't worshiping these rocks and shit when their asses was young. When they was like in their 20s. And had all types of Negroes chasing behind them trying to be with them. You think they had this shit then? You think they had it then? No. Do you think they had it then? When they were young and pretty. No kids. Do you think they had it then? Do you think you would see this when these chicks was young? No. No. They didn't care about none of this shit. They didn't care about the fucking ancestors. Or the spirits, or the ghost. Or the fairies. Or the dragons. Think they gave a shit about any of this? When that phone was ringing all the time. And dudes was chasing them down and trying to take them out. And be with them. But for some reason, boy, once they get to be 2 and 3 and 4 kids in, all of a sudden, they got this set up. All of a sudden. Because like I said, some old Negro done came in there and told her about some old gobbledygook that she had no care or concern for before he done bounced. And she still got this shit in the living room. Telling you how powerful it is. Telling you how great these motherfucking chicken feet are. Asking you why you don't got one of these on a necklace. Why don't you have one of these on a necklace? The rocks, the shells, the fucking chicken feet. Just like any fucking thing else, man. Especially when it comes to black society. Just another fucking thing, man, wrapped up in black society to fucking distract people. Something for black people to focus on that doesn't do them any fucking good. Because I'm telling you, man, I'll say it again, man, a lot of these women, man, that do this shit, they got these shrines and shit in their house. Man, their fucking lives are in shambles, brothers. In shambles. And if you ask me, this is why they fucking do it. That's why they do it. Because if their fucking lives wasn't in shambles, they wouldn't even want to be bothered with this shit. They wouldn't want to be bothered with this. At all. Their lives was great. They would not want to be bothered with this kind of stuff, man. They wouldn't. And I say again, it's one thing she's an adult woman, man, doing this shit. Fucking worshiping candles and rocks and beads and pictures of dead folks. But she's passing this shit down to the kids. She's stunting their fucking development too. Especially if they see her bent over this motherfucker talking about her great-great-great-grandmother's talking to her through this shit. She around this shit damn near performing a fucking seance and shit. And sitting around the motherfucker telling everybody that's around there how she heard the ancestors tell her to do X, Y, and Z. Got the fucking kids believing in fucking fairy tales and shit. Then wonder why they can't focus. We wonder why only 20% of black children are reading on a grade level at 4th grade. And I think only 15% of them are reading on grade level when you get in the 8th grade. But they know all the motherfucking chants that mama make when she's sitting at her fucking shrine, her altar. They know the name of every fucking colored rock that she got on the stand. They know what kind of fucking candles are up there. They know the name of each shell. They know why that glass of fucking wine is up there. But they can't read, write, or count. They say that the woman is the first teacher of the kid. And see, me, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that at all. My problem is the shit that they're teaching them. That's my problem. The shit that they're being taught. This woman you're looking at now, she got a 4-year-old son, 4-year-old daughter. That kid can name everything on there. He know every herb. He know what every rock is called. He know what every statue is. He knows what those beads are for. He knows all this shit. But he can't write his name. He can't count to 15. He can't hold a pencil. But he can tell you what kind of rock this blue rock is. He can tell you what this herb is. He can tell you what kind of candles these are. He can tell you the name of this dish over here. He also can describe these here chicken feet. He knows what kind of crystal this is. All right? But he can't read. But he can't write. But he can tell you what's in this bottle. He can tell you the name of these stones. He knows what this box is called. He can describe everything up here. He knows all these statues, and bells, and bottles, and what these beads are called, and what they do. He knows what kind of spirits they summon. He knows what kind of spirits they summon. He can name everything in these bottles. Everything. He know what kind of liquor's in this glass. He can explain to you everything in this picture. But he can't write his name. He doesn't know colors. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? There lies the problem. There lies the fucking problem, folks. And I know y'all see this shit and y'all like, man, X is always making a big deal out of this shit, man. This ain't no big deal, X. This is nothing, man. You know, they'll grow up, you know. They'll forget all about mama's mojos and do something else with their life. See, me, I don't believe that shit. I think this shit do mean something. I think it do mean something. Especially when you're talking about little kids, infants, 1 and 2 and 3 years old, man. 4 years old, 5 years old. I mean, those are the formative years of a child's life, right? Those are the years that a child, I would imagine a child's brain develops the most, right? Because when you're born pretty much an empty shell, right? You don't know who's who. But by the time you're 1 or 2 years old, you figured out quite a lot. You learn how to talk, you learn language, you learn how to walk, you learn who mama is, who daddy is, who your brothers and sisters are. You learn how to feed yourself and drink for yourself, and you learn what not to touch, where to go, how to use the bathroom by yourself. I mean, you take in a lot of information in those formative years. From birth to 5, you take in a lot. You take in a lot during those years. So you would think that those years would be the years that not only would be the most important to the kid, but the most important to the parent. Because I'm a true believer that your life is usually going to be dictated by where you start, right? And forget when you get old enough to go to school. Because before you ever enter a fucking schoolhouse, man, you with your parent for those first 4 years, right? Those first 4 years, 5 years, you're with your parent. So while you're with your parent, shouldn't you be taking things in to protect, to prepare you for things? To prepare you for things. To set you on the right track. To send you in the right direction. So if you're being taught a bunch of bullshit those first 4 to 5 years, your destiny has already been set. Because it's been written by someone who, let's face it, doesn't give a shit about you. I believe a lot of these children, they're not being parented, they're being owned. What's good, Brother New? I see you up there, brother. They're treated like property, not little people. Shout out to my brother Big Nate. Brother Big Nate says that many children are treated like accessories. They're not treated like people. They're treated like accessories, like a pair of earrings, a fucking hair clip, a necklace. Brother Ragnarok, what's good with it, man?
Not much, man. Cut
Are
some
you
of your
up here?
stream.
Are you up here to explain magic?
So there's, yeah, in a way, yes. Understanding
Okay.
a lot of different esotericisms, be it Kemetism to even Nordic shamanism to First Nations shamanism. What, as you would say, quote unquote, these old mamas are doing is bullshit. It's complete bullshit. So like everybody here knows what a meme is, right?
Yes.
So that meme, when you put it out in the interwebs and you make millions of people smile and laugh, a good meme is a meme of humor showing a dark truth, but in a funny way. That's a form of positive magic because you're influencing a lot of people to laugh and at the same
Hmm.
time realize something. So magic, as people think it is, most people think it's that hocus pocus Harry Potter shit, Leviosa. No, that's not how it works. Real magic is influence, distraction, stuff like that. Like when you go see a magician at a magician show, like Houdini back in the day, he was using your own perception against you in a lot of his tricks.
Hmm.
So like you see these magician kids on like America's Got Talent, they're using your own perception against you. You're
Yes.
in, they're you're harnessing your influence to look at one thing while he's misdirecting. It's simple shit. It's not like some crazy otherworldly shit. It's not. It,
Yeah.
people
It's one of
people
those the hand is quicker than the eye type of things, right?
yeah, yeah. And when it comes to like ancient shamanism of different cultures, which I've studied in depthly, it has to do with a lot of like ayahuasca, DMT causing things. So like they're actually hallucinating. They're going into a dream state. They're entering a sweat lodge with a bunch of weed and ayahuasca in the smoke in the sweat lodge. Like they're actually entering a trance through a drug. So there's a science to this. People in
Hmm.
DMT will tell you they often see the same thing from different individuals. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then like the ancestors would have compared, oh, it's magic. If the ancestors saw we were on tablets and little screen phones, they'd be like, yo, that's magic shit. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like there's an old saying, like magic is simply science we don't understand. So like they wouldn't understand our computers, how I'm communicating with you from thousands of miles away. That would be considered magic. So it's simply a person's understanding. These people having these shrines, it's a form of devotive, neo, new magic. Not even magic. It's just like some shrine thing. It really denotes a sort of insecurity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That if you gotta have chicken heads and shells and rocks and water and liquor for the spirits to drink and all this kind of foolishness. I think that means you might got some type of gaps in your life, like because I don't think no real religious leader, whether he be a pastor or a bishop or whatever, I don't think he's telling you to have these rocks and shells and the beads and feathers and turtle heads and all this kind of foolishness,
So even
on a stand.
yeah, no, like you look at the Aborigines from Australia, they go on spirit walks, a walkabout, and what it does is it lets the individual learn more, connect with the spirit world, you know. But like it's not like you're using these objects. It's like no, no, no. You're going to live what your ancestors lived and learned what they learned. So like you're accessing your own genetic memory, your ancestors' memory who lived through you. Because it's been proven
Mm.
like they don't know the entire human code yet on genetic level. Over 90% of our DNA is called junk DNA. It's really just a compilation of instincts and ancestral memories from the past, like dreams and shit. Can actually access that. Some theorize. Like this is not a perfect science. Like, we're not modern enough in scientific ways to understand these things. So like today it's magic, tomorrow it's science. type of feeling, you know? And when it comes to memes, that's a positive kind of magic. You're influencing people, like movies that influence you how to think, how to be,
Mm-hmm.
how to dress. Like, so here's another topic, right? Like, people talk rap and hip hop don't affect the black community and don't cause them criminality. That's bullshit. When something is glorified through a medium that influences millions of people, it's gonna manifest. It's just, even the Bible talks about this manifestation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can
Yeah. Well,
manifest
some
things.
some people are going to internalize it, man. I mean, it's that goes without saying. That it's
Hmm.
not like everybody. I don't think everybody's capable of listening to a particular type of music, especially a type of music that millions of people listen to, and not any of those people aren't going to internalize it. I mean, that's ridiculous.
And like, have you noticed in some music genres they get satanic and shit and whatnot? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like Super Bowl with Beyonce in 2012. Like, that's literally a magic ritual. Like, if you understand esotericism, you're influencing
Mm.
millions of people. Some people are gonna get influenced more than others. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
it's just it's about getting attention, getting the influence, and then causing the manifestation because so many people believe in this. So if enough people believe in something, it manifests. Like, so that's why even the Bible itself says, like, you got to be careful what you manifest, careful what you wish for type attitude, right? So like, and it's not going to be like if you believe in like this, that, and the third, something outlandish, like that's not going to happen. But like, say you have a meme exposing the truth, sticking it to the man, and it spreads enough, like you know who didn't kill himself? That went viral. You had people jumping into media streams who were on the side of the road being like, he didn't kill himself. That shit went
Mm.
everywhere. Okay. Everywhere. And it spread even more awareness and it started manifesting a movement against that kind of behavior. See, like, that's how easy it is. You want to be a magician, T.P.O.T? You already are. You are attempting to manifest people into being a better version of themselves and to open their minds to that possibility. You're already a magician by the ancestors' terms.
Oh,
So,
so you mean to tell me I don't you mean to tell me I don't need some rocks and shells and candles and
nope,
pictures of dead folks
nope,
on a stand to
nope,
be magic?
nope. See, we confuse the old sayings of our ancestors when they tried to describe something to the modern age, right?
Mm,
So you trying to influence a group of people or different groups of people to better themselves with your influence and truth bombing and exposing some negative things, being like, this is what you could become like, or if you are like that, you could change. You're influencing people. That influence alone spreads.
mm,
You caused manifested waves. You did do a difference. You have.
mm.
There's some people out there who probably watched your show and are like, man, I don't want to be like that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, you did that to me. You showed me a bunch of white people doing like all sorts of criminality and messed up fucking crackheads and shit. I was like, I don't want to be like that. So you technically already influenced me to make sure I never become like that. If that's not
Oh
magic,
shit.
yeah. If that's not
And
magic,
I didn't even use chicken feet. I didn't even have any chicken
exactly.
feet.
See what I mean? So that's the difference. You have this. They look at movies too much. These people. So those movies manifested a sense of retardation. Like, you ever seen that quote or heard it? You talk like the tube. You dress like the tube. You even think like the tube. Speaking of the TV shows and stuff like that. And if you notice, that is what's happening. Do you know why they call it media? The actual term media.
Mm-hmm.
So the name media is actually a Greek goddess of illusions,
Mm.
Medea. MEDEA. And then
Mm,
you look at the modern variant, it's MEDIA. Still sounds the same.
yeah,
It's all
I've heard
it's all
that before. I've
it's
heard
all
that before.
illusions. It's puppetry, man. You watch enough TV shows and soap operas, you become the soap opera.
Yeah. Well, when I was a young guy, right? When I was a young guy, I was a Muslim, and the Muslims call TV tell lie vision because it tells lies to your vision. And
They're not wrong.
oh, of course they're not. Of course they're not. I don't watch a lot of TV now, and I think I have Islam to think of it, even to thank for it. Even though, man, I haven't practiced Islam for a very very long time, more than should have been like
Well,
30
like
years.
all religions have this aspect that you should control your own mind
Mm-hmm.
and not let other things control your mind because that has everything to do with manifestation and influence, which is a form of dark magic. A meme exposing the truth through humor, making you laugh and realizing like a red pill, a funny red pill. That's positive magic. It's taking you out of the system. See what I mean? But like if you're looking at TV all day and it's just negative, negative this, negative that, like you have people stuck on social media being so depressed because they're not getting enough attention and all sorts of things, being influenced and pushed over the edge. That's a form of magical influence, a very negative kind. But like when you see people making memes that expose all sorts of shit and give people a higher purpose when they're laughing, realizing they're beyond this, they could be better, that's good magic. Like magic to most people is that hocus pocus TV shit. That's not true. Like let's say if Snowman, who's in the chat, goes around and helps some addict on the street he found and like helps him become a better person. He just influenced a man. If that man pulls through, he manifested a man who could help other people, and again like a domino effect. So everything you do in life is a domino effect in the universe. As soon as you realize that, that's the key of spiritualism. If you're going around doing negative shit, hurting people, robbing people, you're going to cause a domino effect. If you go around healing people, helping people, that's another domino effect. It's that simple. It's not some like, let me get my wand and my witch cauldron and my chicken feet and my shrine. No, man. They don't understand how easy it is. It's called spelling for a reason. When you're speaking, you're spelling. Literally, every word you said online, Teapot, you've casted a
Mm-hmm.
spell without knowing, and your message has been for improvement, awareness, and self-betterment. If you think some people haven't taken that to heart, oh buddy, they have. And if they haven't, they will down the line. That's a form of positive magic you put out there. So this is what's called influence magic. What these people are doing with their shrines at home, that's a form of insecurity. It's a form of wanting to tie into some culture that no longer exists. And they don't even understand the ancestors. Like the ancestors wouldn't want you to build a shrine and worship some photo. Sure, it brings up a memory that makes you feel warm inside, but living in the past, that's dangerous, especially like that.
Yeah, yeah, and brother Cortez said something very that I thought was very interesting. He said the spirits just warn them when Tyrone is cheating. And that's a prolific statement because it's like you hear them talk this spirit and ancestors and energy, and some of them even have names for some of these crazy gods that they claim. They channel the power through these altars of junk, because a lot of it is just junk, just a bunch of rocks and shells and dirt and orange peels and bullshit, right? And they got this table full of junk, and they tell you how it gives them this power, but you never see anything like manifesting in their life that's worth a damn. like he said, the only time the ancestors talk is when the ancestors is giving them a sign about, some Negro that they fucking around with, telling them to check his phone or go on his Facebook page. Like, oh, the ancestors told me she was on your Facebook page. That kind of shit. Like, come on, man. The ancestors didn't tell you to keep your fucking legs closed and not have 5 kids by 5 dudes. The ancestors didn't tell you to stop fucking hanging out and getting high and leaving your kids home by themselves. I mean, come on, man. But the ancestors can tell you that Tyrone got another girl. I mean, it's stupid. It's
That's
stupid.
what I mean. I think that's just people who are delusional and want to connect to something and they call it magic. Like when they don't understand magic is so simple, be it negative or positive, putting out a bad message or a good message to hundreds to potentially millions of people, of causing influence. You cause the domino, like I said, the domino effect. What they're doing, they're just wallowing in their own bullshit, looking for an excuse.
Yeah, it's fucking holes in their lives, and they're trying to fill it with fucking rocks, shells, and fucking frogs in jars and shit. When I think about, especially when they start talking about this ancestor shit, right? I've always said, and I've told my wife this. I'm like, man, they talk about the ancestors. If you was to go back far enough, if the ancestors can see some of us now, they probably wouldn't want shit to do with our asses.
They would, if they could come back to life, man. Like my ancestors, hardcore Germanic Vikings who held off Rome's legions, they would look at this world and be like, yo, you failed. Go back to the forest or just don't exist. Goodbye.
Yep. They wouldn't want shit to do with us, man. Most of our ancestors wouldn't want shit to do with us. So why would they come out of whatever fucking realm they're in, all right, and have a conversation with us in our living room? Like, man, shut up with that. Whenever people go to talking that shit to me, I tell them, man, I put the brakes on them. I'll be like, no, let's not have this conversation because, number one, I think your fucking shrine is ridiculous. All right, let's just start there with the ridiculousness of your shrine. Let's start there.
One thing, X, like like demonology. So like demonology is present in almost every single form of spirituality or religion around the world. There is an objective consensus between shamans and like actual shamans, and priests, and sheikhs or imams that like, look, there are demonic entities out there, and they're all on a consensus that these demonic entities will try to fuck with your head if and when there's enough negative energy you put out in the world. You open the door, right? You open the door to this manifestation. And then they'll send like somebody who looks like your ancestor and fuck with your life. Ooh, I'm a jinn. I'm a demon. You know what I'm saying? Like you fucking name it. It's like it's a form of negative energy that just manifests itself because you opened the door. You open that door, you're screwed. It's your fault. So these people, they're opening a door to an entity telling them, oh, I'm your ancestor, you should listen to me. But all that happens is they get fucked with their own life. And if people think entities aren't real, you'd be surprised. The most powerful religions in the world right now, to this day, still believe in entities. Bad entities and good ones. And the only way you manifest these things is through positive or negative energy. It's a balance, right? This is esotericism 101. It's a dark side and a good side. 300 in the light, 300 in the dark. That's what it is. And so, like, yeah, I know it's hard to understand if you don't understand esotericism. This is not like some sort of Harry Potter bullshit. It's true. You do have some of these entities who will try to fuck with you. There's enough evidence out there to prove it. Science doesn't understand it because we don't have the technology to prove it. So when you have cultures from all around the world, for thousands of years have a consensus in their mythologies and spiritualities that there's good entities and bad entities. And people, and they rely on the energy of human beings, good and bad. So like if you're some fucking pookie going around causing bullshit, like you're fucking your own life. You're letting an entity feed on your negativity that you cause, a domino effect. You ever met somebody who's super happy and positive, kind, and spreading good advice due to wisdom? It's because they decided to manifest themselves into that. They made a choice. Like some of the most positive people I've met in my life were hardcore gangsters who turned around before they died. Most of them, they had a daughter or a son, and they're like, yo, I can't keep being this way. So then they started manifesting positive energy, turning it around. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I have an
It's,
entity in here with me right now. There she is. I have one in here right now. She's right there. Because it's sort of like, I know when people start talking this mystical, magical gobbledygook, you expect to see them start doing this.
yeah.
You expect them to
Oh yeah.
start doing this.
Yeah, that's that ring. That's that ring shit.
You expect them to start doing this.
So like that woman probably caused a lot of negative energy, hurt her own children, didn't take care of herself, and now she's stuck in the loop. That's her fault. That's her own little hell. She manifested it. That bitch from the ring did this to herself. So when it comes to these old mamas doing these shrine things, yo, they need to that entity you brought up. That's a warning.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. It's just, my thing is this. Fine. I understand, right, that there is, there's alternate energies or whatever out there. I get that. I get it. All right. My thing is the way it affects the children, right? Because I think that children need to be treated like children and raised up to be adults. And children should be allowed to decide for themselves, right? For themselves, if they want to take on these quote unquote adult things. Now, if you walking around and you got this magical bullshit in the house, you got this fucking shrine with
Yep, my boy
dead people
X.
there and all this kind of shit.
Children are the most easily influenced.
That's
And
what
if
I'm
you,
saying.
yeah, it's crazy, man. So if somebody with like that dark energy is influencing a child, what do you think's gonna happen?
I mean, come on, man. I mean, if they want to fuck up their own lives and and believe in this mystical shit and believe that fucking spirits are talking to them and the trees are talking and all this kind of shit. I've heard people talk about they talk to trees and all this kind of shit. I mean, I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot of shit in my lifetime. All right, when you growing up as a black person, you see a lot of this bullshit. All right. You see people's grandmothers who were quote unquote witches. You see people's aunts and shit who supposedly are soothsayers and voodoo priestesses and also kind of nonsense. You grow up
Yeah,
around that shit. See me, I didn't see that shit. All right, because see, my
buddy,
mother didn't do
I
that.
can go.
She didn't
I
do
can
that
go to
kind of stuff.
Montreal. My man, I'm hearing you. I can go to Montreal because I'm Canadian, right? So giant Haitian community. There's a few voodoo people out there, and even some of the gangs do some voodoo shit. It's weird. It's creepy. But like if
Yeah, I
you let it
didn't.
be creepy to you, you're letting them manifest influence on you. But like if you're like, whatever, man, that's bullshit. They got no influence over you.
I
So
mean,
like,
I didn't grow up seeing it though. I mean, when I saw it at people that I knew. You know, I saw it at their houses. I mean, I didn't grow up with it. You know, my mother and my father, they weren't, you know, like into voodoo shit. Well, the only voodoo they was into was Christianity, which is another stream for another night. But yeah,
yeah,
my people were church people. You know, I was raised by church folks. Can't you tell? I was raised by church people. So, I mean, the only thing that was, you know, quote unquote voodoo is, you know, the bullshit church thing, you know, when you got bishops and ministers and shit, because I had a whole bunch of those people in my
right,
family.
right. The
Yeah, I
system
was
of man.
raised by
The
church folks.
system of man attempting to be
Yeah.
holy and overly
Oh,
zealous.
yeah.
When really, like, I tell people,
That shit, that's just like voodoo too, man. It's
yeah,
like voodoo.
I tell people like, yeah, I'm Norse pagan, but I'm not gonna go fuck around with runes. It's not my business. But like when I talk to Christians, I tell them, look, man, stop listening to your priest. Listen to the philosophical influences that Christ said, like, do unto others what you would want for you. The
Yeah.
golden rule. The golden rule, that's positive. So, like, self betterment type passages, like, that's amazing stuff. It's good. Like, even me, I'm not going to deny those philosophies. Like, even Muhammad, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said this. Like, I'm not even Muslim, don't respect it. Like, he put out some self betterment quotes. He did, even though he might have been violent when it came to the Medina passages, but like the dude was surrounded. Like, like you gotta understand the times. Like when you're surrounded by like the Roman Empire and the Persian Empire, you're gonna be a little violent. It's just
Yeah.
facts. But like at the same time, he told his people, you got to be holy, but not in the sense like you got to be like what's the word you said on that church stream? Like, don't listen to that dude who's like overly zealous, but then does things to children at night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, don't
Yeah.
listen to that dude. Listen to yourself, your heart. Because God knows your heart, whatever name you want to give him. Because, like, if you want to be positive out there, that's cool, man. But, like, this stagnation of these old mamos with their chicken feet, that's not
Yeah.
positive.
Yeah. The shit's stupid, man.
It
It's
is.
fucking stupid. And like I said, a lot of people, man, their lives don't reflect it, man, and what a lot of them do, man. Because see, me, I'm not big on talking about women per se. You know, there's enough brothers who do that. You know, they don't need me to do that too. That's why I kind of focus in when I'm talking. I talk about these old mamas, and when I say these, I'm using these as an adjective. All right, meaning a particular subset of women who not only not only neglect the development of their children, but they also train the children to be little copies of themselves. And while doing that, they have a tendency to make the children worse. All right? The children come out worse
Yeah,
than they
the
do.
negative influence, right?
Yes. Yes. I mean, that's what bothers me more than anything else because adults, I don't give a fuck what grown people do. I mean, you're a fucking adult. Do what the fuck you want. All right? Do what you want. But I believe that because I follow the tenet of Frederick Douglass. And Frederick Douglass says it's easier to raise strong children, or it's easier to build strong children than it is to repair broken men. And I believe that. I mean, if you're a person that wants to see change, you're going to have to start with the little ones. I mean, you're not going to be able to change a motherfucker that's 35, all right? He's pretty much set in his ways for the most part. If he's lost at 35, he's probably going to remain lost until he's ready to not be lost. But little children are different. You can shape them, you can groom them, you can teach them the way. All right? You can teach them the way, especially when they're little. All right? That's your best chance of building some type of decent society by getting the little kids and grooming them up to be decent, productive people. I think what we often do is we make the mistake of trying to change people who are too old for us to change them. They can only change themselves. You can't change a person who's 30, 40 years old, man. I mean, whatever change they're going to do, guess what? They're going to have to take on 90% of that change. You may be able to influence 10% of it, but 90 of it is going to have to be them. It's not like that with little children. All right? I've told brothers many, many times that if you want to see decent women out in the world, we as men are going to have to be the ones to send them out there, meaning our daughters, because those are the only true females that we have a direct hand in developing. You don't develop these hoes out here that's twerking and going on. You can't develop them. But guess what? You can rear up and develop your daughter. You can teach your daughter how to be decent. You can teach your daughter how to be respectful and have morals. You can teach her that. It's easier to do that with her than it is some 35-year-old chick who got 5 babies. She's done. That ship has sailed. And not only has it sailed into the middle of the sea and it has sunk to the bottom. So it's never returning.
And Brother X, the only times I've seen somebody past the age of 35, like I've seen and met dozens of multiple hardcore gangsters who I will not name, obviously, because they're not like that anymore and they don't need to be having their past talk because they changed. It is extremely rare that these types of people live beyond the age of 25. The ones I've seen changed because they gave birth to children. And they did not want those kids to end up like them. So some of the most positive, happiest guys I've ever met in my life were bikers who were in the hardcore of the most hardcore turn good. That's not to say bikers aren't good. A lot of them are. They'll do what they can for kids and whatnot, kids drives and stuff. But like when they have their own kid, things change, man. Your whole mentality changes. It's like anybody messes with this, like you're done. You'll see the evil side of the good man come out. So I've seen it happen where somebody who's been through that kind of rough life and seen a lot of things I'll never talk about change simply because a new life came into this world from them. It's like, man, I've noticed even some of the like women in the world as well. Like, so that was more along the lines of men. Like some women in the world were like complete hoes, so messed up and fucked up. Sometimes they'll turn around once they've given life to a new life, because they realize like it's not about you anymore. Like that's the thing about parents, man. Like say shit hits the fan, food shortage, civil war, world war, whatever the fuck you want to do, like just any kind of shit at the fan. Parents are the most dangerous people on the planet because we will cut you. And I say we because I'm one of them. I will cut you for that can of peaches. Come back and smile at my little girl, like, "Hey, dear, I got you food."
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it goes. I mean, And this is a thing too, right? I mean, you know, despite of how you are, okay, you could be the most immature person in the world. If having a kid doesn't make you grow up, nothing will. Um, and I think that that's the problem, right? Like a lot of people that have children probably shouldn't because they're too fucking irresponsible to just handle and maintain their own selves. So, no way they should be responsible for a one child, two children, three children, four children. They're not even responsible enough to take care of themselves. So, if you turn around and put, kids in the mix, that makes it even worse because a person that's not capable of taking care of them fucking selves, how they capable of taking care of a kid? That doesn't make any sense. So, when you have a lot of those situations, and not even that, a lot of people, not only are they inexperienced, ill equipped, a lot of them are too fucking immature because, see, they have these children and they still want to hang out. They still want to get high. They still want to get drunk. They still want to be at the club. They still want to do all this shit, not realizing that when you have a kid, that shit's supposed to stop. That shit's supposed to come to a screeching halt, and it's time to be responsible for this child. You're not just living for yourself anymore. And I think that's what often happens when when you hear me talking about these old mamas. These are women who are not living for the children, man. They're just living for themselves, and the fucking kids are just there like a chair or a pair of shoes, or like I said, they don't even treat the kids like people. They treat them like property. And I think that's what's mostly problematic when it comes to these types of things where, and like I said, my man Big Nate, he's always like, the children are treated like an accessory, like a pair of earrings or a hat or some shit. And
Yeah,
all that does is set the kids up for being abused,
and not
whipped,
just that.
beat.
Well, not just that, X. You have parents who both mom and pa working full-time jobs. They you barely have a relationship due to the economy, and it's not just to blame the economy. The kids are sent to school and then to daycare. You know who's raising those kids? That teacher,
Strangers.
that
Yeah,
teacher, that
yeah,
daycare. And you don't know what
yeah,
kind of influences they have. Most of them don't even know their names.
yeah.
Are you looking in your kids' curriculum? Are you looking at your daycare, how they run things? No,
Nope.
they're
Just
not.
dropping them off, and bouncing.
And,
That's
and
it.
then and then when they do come home, all mama and papa want to do is drink a beer and watch sports. Mama drink some wine and watch a soap opera.
Yep.
They're not
Plop
raising
the
the
fucking
kids.
plop the fucking kid down in front of the goddamn television and do
Yep,
it all again tomorrow. You
pretty
got
much.
these bullshit ass schools with they're indoctrinating the kids with a
Man,
whole
Like
bunch of
like like
bullshit.
you said, you got the school, then the daycare, and then they're both parents want to watch television.
Yep.
And what are the parents doing? They're letting the kids watch television.
Yeah. Yeah, the bullshit schools and the fucking TV is raising the fucking kid. All right. And they wonder why, man. They wonder why these fucking kids grow up, man, to rob liquor stores and knock all ladies in the head and carjack and do all this kind of bullshit. Because guess what, man? The fucking people that are raising them are fucking idiots. I mean, I always say this, man. Ducks don't raise swans, man. They raise little ducklings. So if you got a parent who doesn't pay any attention to the kids, leave the kids home by themselves, or half raise them, half supervise them, all that kind of
Yeah,
shit. That fucking
yeah,
boyfriend is in their
it's
room at night,
it's
fucking
the
touching
old
on them and shit
saying.
like that.
It's the old saying. You quack like a duck, you're a duck.
Yeah, man. I mean, we can't be surprised that these kids grow up and do the shit that they do, man, because the motherfuckers that's raising them. And then you get people who come on here and say, "Oh, that doesn't matter. They could have had two parents and they still could have turned out like that." Yeah, motherfucker, I could have been born with wings and fly from New York to fucking Florida. But guess what? If you got shitty, I say this all the time because I'm about to wrap this up. I say this all the time, brother Ragnarok. I say, if you had good parents and you turned out to be a horrible person, your parents probably had very little to do with that. You probably had other
Yep.
outside influences and all that kind of shit.
Yeah, well, like
But
I was gonna say.
likewise, if you had good parents and you turned out to be a good person, your parents probably had a lot to do with it. And on the other side of that,
Mm-hmm.
if you had horrible parents and you turned out to be a good person, your parents probably had very little to do with that. And also, if you had horrible parents and you turned out to be a horrible person, your parents probably had a lot to do with that.
Mm-hmm. Look, like I tell people, man, you could come from the most bougie two-parent household, everything you've ever wanted. But if they're neglecting you with attention, not teaching you things, all you're doing is watching TV, and by the time you're 15, you're talking to your boys selling weed, and you want to get in the weed game. And 2 years later, you're in the coke game. And if people think it's not a gateway drug, it kind of is. The people who sell weed are like they're not that far away from the other dude. Okay, in fact, most of them do the other shit.
Mm.
And quite frankly, it keeps going, keeps going, it keeps going. So like, it doesn't matter how high up upper middle class, or even being as like a rich boy, you can still get involved if you're dumb enough and you're not getting the attention from your parents. Like me, if I was rich and I saw my kids get involved with people like that, I would slap them upside the head. What the fuck's wrong with you? I've seen people die off speed right in front of me. I've seen people die off meth right in front of me. I've seen people get juked. That's the same for getting knifed right in front of me just because of a weed deal gone wrong. Like, the young ones don't understand how quick and bad it can get for them. And then, they're 18. Some dude tried robbing them because they were just trying to sell a gram of weed, and they defended themselves. There you go, 25 to life. It's that easy. It's that quick how fucked up they could change your life. But parents who pay attention to the kids, who they're hanging out with, what they're getting influenced by on TV, have a better chance. Much better chance. It's like, son, make sure your homework is good. Make sure your shit's Gucci. Make sure you're trying to get in the Harvard. Make sure you're trying to get in the Yale. Stuff like that. Like, you push. Where, like, you see these Asian parents, they'll fucking slap their kid if they're getting involved with bad influences. You know why? There goes their family honor. Because, and that's another thing, honor. That's what it comes down to. You have a lot of people who don't understand family honor anymore. Because if the parents aren't taking care of the kids, and the kids aren't going to, like, being better than you. Because if you're creating a youth who doesn't supersede you, the fuck did you do? You failed.
Yeah, you failed.
You failed.
Yeah, you failed.
Like that rich dad who gave his son his investment. To be like, look, son, this investment, I want you to do better than me. Yeah, I'm giving you a leg up. Most kids ain't gonna get this. I busted my balls so you get this. But you're gonna bust your balls even harder to make sure your kids get more.
Yeah, man, there's nothing that there's not a better weapon against debauchery, degeneracy than decent parents. I mean, if you got decent parents, statistically, you're just going to be better off. I mean, people try to fight it because they like to make their arguments based on the exceptions. I knew somebody who, they was raised by a baby mom and it was 9 of them and they grew up to be an astronaut. People like to base their arguments off exceptions and shit.
Yeah, that's a 1 in a million. That kid decided to fix himself. What did you do? What did you do?
When they say that shit, I'd be like, okay, name me 10 more. But I can easily name
Right.
you 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people who it didn't turn out that way, because they had decent parents. And likewise, I can name you 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 people who had fucked up parents and they turned out to be fucked up. All you got to do is look at the people that are in the penitentiaries and the jails. Like, I mean, the majority of the people that are fucking doing life in prison didn't have a father. The majority of the rapists, the killers, the murders, the robbers, the majority of them are people who did not have fathers. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
say that that is just a fucking coincidence because it is not. It is
It's
not.
remember what I told you about the domino effect, good and bad.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
like when I tell people white, black, whatever hue, whatever community, whatever religion, if you have a domino effect, that's from your own people. Yeah, sure, there's an
Yeah.
outside influence making you go some way in history. You can bounce against that though. Like I tell people, especially black conservatives, you have control in this current day on your domino effect. Will it be negative
Mm-hmm.
or will it be positive? Your choice. And if it goes the way it goes, your fault.
Yeah, man.
When it comes to manifestation, you spelled it. Ain't nobody else did. So that's why, like, a lot of white people who are individualistic and don't even consider themselves a community, you ever notice that? White people don't call themselves a community. It's the individual. Individuals have free will and will manifest their path. If, and I tell black conservatives this a lot, if you want a better community and you want to be that guy who sells the community, motherfucker, you better be putting out a lot of good positive dominoes. It's the only way. It's the
I
only
agree.
way. So I'm
Well,
gonna drop off on that,
a
and
lot of
that goes
people
for
talk about community because they want to be able to take the people like to assign the singular failures to the collective problem, and I think that's
right.
stupid too. Yeah, that's
It
stupid.
is.
That's
So
stupid.
I'm gonna sign off, and like that domino
Yeah,
effect,
man.
that goes for all humanity, man.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
if we actually push for a more positive domino effect, it's possible. Eh, look at Frodo. He dropped that ring. Sure, he felt the corruption and put the ring on at the end, but then Sam was like, "No, fuck you." He pushed that domino before it went negative, and fought Gollum and shit and struggled like a motherfucker. But then that ring eventually ended up down in the lava and burned away. The negative burned away. But
Gollum.
it took struggle. Gollum was that
It's
Pookie. He was like,
yeah. I
"Ah!"
know. I know. Yeah, I know Gollum. It's
and,
this
and
lady.
Frodo
It's
and
this lady that comes on
Frodo.
TV that fucking looks like her, man. I mean, like she looks like fucking. I'm telling you,
So
she looks just like this fucking guy.
Frodo would have become a Gollum, and he almost did. He went Pookie mode when he was like, "No, it's mine." He totally did. And Sam was that dude, like that black conservative or that white conservative, be like, "No, like stop, you can't do this. You gotta save the world. Fuck you." Slap, slap. And then when Frodo came to his senses, Sam, who didn't lose his senses, even carried the motherfucker up the mountain, took his hand and brought him back home once it was done. It's like that's what I mean. Sam put out good domino vibes. You know what I mean? Frodo was trying, he was struggling, kept carrying that corruption on him, from the ring for so long. You know what I mean? It's a metaphor. Like people can change, but like that corruption, bro. Doesn't matter who you are, white, black, whatever religion, spirituality, corruption hits. And if you fall on that negative domino, like shit, imagine if Frodo kept the ring on him and beat Sam up and walked out. You know what would have happened? Those Nazgul black cloak motherfuckers on those black dragons would have killed him, took that ring, brought back to Sauron, and Sauron would have had his full power and take over the whole world and destroy everything. That's literally the Frodo effect. One little good, one little bad can create a big bad and a big good. That's how simple magic is. I'm gonna close out on that.
Yeah, man. Thanks for coming up, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead, man, and close it out, man. You know, good stuff tonight, man. Talking about the rocks, the shells, and the chicken feet. We're gonna go ahead, man, and close it out. And I noticed that brother E. Taylor joined the page, man. I missed that earlier, brother. You know, when you join the page, you get this.
Outstanding. You just joined the page? Cool. You know it's appreciated.
Appreciate you joining the page, brother E. Taylor. Appreciate that, brother. Joining the old T.P.O.T. YouTube page. Yeah, man, we're gonna go ahead, man, and get out of here. Brother Cortez, if you out there still listening, man, I'm gonna check in the morning. I'm gonna check in the morning, man, and I'll pull you up out of the block shit, man. You know, the bot must have got you, man. You know, the bot is unforgiving, brother. He is unforgiving. The bot is unforgiving. But I will look in there tomorrow, man, and pull you up out of there, man, because I know you've been following me for a long time. So I will go and look and check. I'm probably not going to do it tonight, because right after I get up off of here, I'm going my black ass to bed. But I will look in the morning, my brother, and I will pull you up out of there, brother Cortez, all right? I will yank you out of there. But yeah, man, we're going to go ahead, man, and wrap this up, man. Good shit tonight. You know, good shit tonight, talking about the old rocks, shells, and chicken feet. But like I was telling Ragnarok, like, you know, it's one thing if you're an adult and you do this shit. All right, you got fucking hog heads in a jar, and you know you got bees hanging all over the place, and you got this fucking shrine with fucking chicken feet and turtle tails and rocks and shells and sand and pictures of dead folks all over the place and candles and shit. And I think that this stuff is usually a cover for something else. I think it's a cover for something else. Because I don't think it drives away anything. Well, I think it drive away men, because most of the women that have this shit ain't got no fucking body. Because I'll say again, no man in his right mind is trying to be in a house with a bunch of fucking mojos all over the fucking place. Just a table full of mojos and rocks and animal parts and broken glass and candles and pictures of dead people. No man in his right mind is going to be around that shit. He's just not. Unless he's into that shit too. And like I said before, a lot of times it's these dudes who were raised by a woman who believed in this shit. They grew up believing in this shit. They meet a woman. They teach her this shit. And while they together, it's a thing. When he get tired of her ass, he bounces, leaves this fucking shrine of junk. Because most of it is just junk. Rocks, shells, dirt, feathers. They got a fucking glass of wine up there. But if I showed y'all them altars tonight, they had fucking glasses of wine and shit up there. The fucking glass be up there for 8 years. They talking about it's for the spirit to drink it. 8 years have passed, the spirit still ain't drunk that motherfucker yet. I don't even like wine, but it wouldn't take me 8 fucking years to drink one glass of that shit. So the spirits are not thirsty because they're not drinking the fucking wine. All right? And like Brother Cortez said, the only thing the fucking spirits ever tell them is when that Negro they fucking around with got another broad. All the spirits can talk to him then, right? But the spirits won't teach them how to do right by the kids. The spirits won't tell them to not have 5 and 6 baby daddies. The spirits won't tell them to pay attention to these kids' fucking education. The spirits won't tell them to stop fucking their money up on weaves and shoes and clothes and nonsense. A lot of these fucking people who got these fucking mojos all stacked up on a counter, their fucking lives are in shambles. And I think this bullshit that they worship has a lot to do with it. Told you, it's like racism. They just use this shit to blame other shit on. Like people do racism. They blame racism for things that have nothing to do with racism. And I think when it comes to these shrines and mojos and all this gobbledygook, magic, sorcery, witchcraft shit, it's just something extra for black people to blame something on. I think it's less magic. Less magic and a little more of imagination. But make no mistake, I still believe that some of us who deal with this shit, because what if I told you that if I just walked somewhere and started talking to you and told you that I had a shelf with rocks, beads, shells, feathers, a glass of wine, candles, pictures of dead folks, and a turtle head on the stand, you would look at me like I was insane, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? With the shit I showed you tonight, that's not far-fetched at all, is it? Everything I just said, you've seen, except for the turtle head. Everything else, chicken feet. I showed y'all crystals and herbs and incense, that altars with 4 and 5 pictures of dead people, candles burning, seashells, all kinds of herbs and shit. Y'all seen the one with the cigar? It had peeled oranges on there, a cigar, rocks, plants in jars, more pictures of dead folks. I don't know if it's all of the people who do this, but I believe many of them who do this suffer from UMI. And what is UMI? Undiagnosed mental illness. Undiagnosed mental illness. Y'all remember the old mom I showed y'all at the top of the show, right? Y'all listened to that video? You heard what she said? She said, I'm done. My kids are dead with blood on her. And guess what she said? It's all their father's fault. She did that on fucking Instagram. With fucking blood on her and shit. Undiagnosed mental illness, man. Undiagnosed mental illness. And the father was close. Because he saw it on Instagram and hurried up and came over there. Both of those kids probably would have been dead if it wasn't for him coming there. But it was too late for the boy. I mean, for the girl. It was too late for the daughter. But he was able to save the son. Undiagnosed mental illness. And I guarantee you, that old crazy old mama I showed y'all at the top of the show, I bet you her crazy ass, her crazy murderous ass, I bet you if you go into her place, there's a shrine with herbs and candles. Because guess what? They listen to all these spirits, but did the spirits tell her not to kill the kids? I told y'all before, you always hear them talk about these fucking spirits guiding their lives and instructing them. They need to look for better spirits. These spirits are doing a horrible job of instructing them. Because that old mama I showed y'all tonight, y'all heard her. She said, my kids are dead. I'm done. I'm done. It's all their father's fault. I'm going to kill myself. But notice, she survived the attack. They usually do. They always attempt to kill themselves. But they're always successful killing the kids, aren't they? Isn't that something? But what can we expect from people who worship a stand with a bunch of junk on it? As they stand over it and organize the glasses and the feathers and the colored fucking shells and shit. While they doing that, they're making sure that they don't leave out of their altar or their shrine. Because no altar is complete, is it? Unless it also includes rocks, shells, and chicken feet. But that's all. I want to thank everybody, man, for coming through tonight, man. You could have spent your Wednesday night anywhere. You decided to spend it here. It is appreciated. I don't know what we're doing tomorrow. I don't have anything booked, but I think we do have a debate Saturday night. So just keep your eyes out for the thumbnail. The debate is going to be good. Two of my brothers gonna be throwing down, squaring off. I'm not gonna say nothing because it hasn't been, just look for the thumbnail. But if we do have a debate on Saturday, it's gonna be a good one. I don't know if we're doing anything tomorrow. We might do a show Friday. I'm not sure. But I don't have anything planned for tomorrow. Like I said, just check on the T.P.O.T YouTube page to see what we got going on. But I do think we got a debate coming down the pipe. So pay attention to the channel. Look out for the thumbnails, and you'll see what we're doing, all right? Once again, man, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight, man. As always, I don't take you good folk lightly, man. I never have, and I never will. You got my word on that. So, with that, I will leave you good folks with 3 words. Like I always do. Open your mind. Peace, folk. What about this? What about that?
What about that? What about that? What about that? What about that? What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
What about that? What about that? What about this? What about this?
What about that? 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 What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
What about that? What about this?
What about that? What about that? What about that? What about that? What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this?
What about that? What about that? What about this?
What about that? What about that? What about that? What about that? What about this? What about this? What about this?
What about this?
What about that? What about that? What about that? What about that?
Only from T.P.O.T.